Well, hello and how are you? Hey friends, welcome to the Shen Show. I am your host, Shen coming to you from right here in St. Charles, Missouri. Hey, you know what? Today is Friday, June the 18th, 2021. Got a happy birthday shout out going out to Keith Woodfin. So, without further ado, hey Keith, this song is just for you. Hey Keith, I heard that it was your birthday today. So, happy birthday, I'ma say. You know, you're 1 more year older today, so happy birthday to you, I say. I said, hey Keith, hey, I heard it's your birthday today. Why, that's another trip around the sun that you made. I'm hoping you're really enjoying your day today, 'cause, well, it's your happy birthday day today. Hey, happy birthday to you, Keith, and many, many more. Alright, hey, alright. Hey, you know what? It's about 90 degrees out there right now, but the temperature is going to be dropping slowly. And so, today's weather forecast is going to be brought to you today by Refreshing Word Fellowship Church, located at 2054 Campus Drive, St. Charles, Missouri. So, hey, if you would like to go to a fine establishment of a church, well, find yourself at Refreshing Word Fellowship over on Campus Drive in St. Charles, Missouri at 11 a.m. on Sundays, alright? Well, also you can step on in on Wednesdays from 1:30 to 2:30 so that you can get a prayer a day. That's a prayer hour for the hour of power of prayer. That's right, on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, each and every week. In St. Charles, Missouri, at Refreshing Word Fellowship Church, located at 2054 Campus Drive, St. Charles, Missouri, 63301. That's adjacent side of the street to St. Andrew's Plaza. Alright? Alrighty then. Alright, here's that weather forecast I was talking about. Partly cloudy skies early, with thunderstorms developing later on at night. Low temperatures around 76 degrees Fahrenheit overnight, with winds south to southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour, and chances of rain 70%. That's for the remainder of tonight. Tomorrow, Saturday, June the 19th, partly cloudy skies with a stray shower or thunderstorm quite possible. High temperatures around 97 degrees Fahrenheit with winds west to southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. A few clouds from time to time. A stray shower or thunderstorm is quite possible with low temperatures around 75 degrees Fahrenheit overnight. Winds are going to be south to southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday, June the 20th. Intervals of clouds and sunshine in the morning, with more clouds for the later in the daytime. Hot temperatures and high temperatures around 99 degrees Fahrenheit with winds southwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Some clouds and possibly a isolated thunderstorm after midnight. Storms may contain strong gusty winds. Low temperatures around 76 degrees Fahrenheit overnight with winds southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Now, does that sound strong and gusty to you? Anyway, chances of rain 40%. And now then, Monday, June the 20th, cloudy with occasional rain showers. Cooler because the temperature high is only going to be 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are going to be north and northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Chances of rain 60%. Partly cloudy skies overnight with low temperatures dipping down around 57 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are going to be north and northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. And then for Tuesday, June the 22nd, sunny skies, highs around 81 degrees Fahrenheit, and winds are going to be north at 5 miles per hour. That's 5 to 10 miles per hour, that is. Mainly clear skies overnight with low temperatures around 61 degrees Fahrenheit, and winds are going to be light and variable. And let's see for your final day of our 5-day forecast for the St. Charles viewing area. Mostly sunny skies on Wednesday, June the 23rd. Winds are going to be south at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies overnight with low temperatures dipping down around 67 degrees. Winds are going to be south at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And that, my friends, concludes your 5-day forecast for the St. Charles viewing area. Hey, you know what? There's a feller out there that can really sing and drum it up with the drums. Beating them skins, that's his game of chance. He loves it. His name is Steve Clary, a.k.a. Doug Bell. So, I tell you what, that's what you ought to do. Check out his Facebook page and listen to him sing. But for now, I'm gonna sing. When summertime, when the weather is high, you can stretch right up and touch the sky. When the weather is fine, you got a woman on your mind. Have a drink and have a drive. Go out and see what you can find. Chunk-a-chunk, 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 chunk-a-chunk. If her daddy's rich, take her out for a meal. If her daddy is poor, just do whatever you feel. No, do a ton or a ton and 25. When the sun goes down, you can make it good in a lay-by. Well, in summertime, the good of summertime, you can live a life in the happy summertime. Hey, I tell you what it's like when the girls are just right in the summertime. Chunk, ka-chunk, 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 chunk, chunk, chunk. Well, we're not bad people. We're not dirty. We're not so mean. We love everybody, but we do as we please. When the weather is fine, we go fishing or go swimming in the seas. We're always happy, and life's for living. Life that is philosophy. We'll sing along with us. Happily da 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 da. Chunk, chunk, when the winter's here, well, yeah, it's pretty time. It's bring your own bottle and bring your own wine. It's soon to be summertime, and we'll sing again. I'll go driving, or maybe we'll settle down. If she's rich, if she's nice, bring your friends and we'll go into town. I said, chunk. I said, in the summertime, you can stretch right up and touch the skies. When the weather's fine, you've got a woman you got a woman on your mind. Have a drink and have a drive. Go out and see what you can find. Chunk, ka-chunk. If her daddy's rich, take her out for a meal. If her daddy's poor, just do what you feel. Speed along in the lane and do a ton or 25. When the sun goes down, you can make it good in the lane. Bye. All right. Hey, that was the summertime. Because I tell you what, I was out there today in the good old summertime. Headed over to the store. Walmart's mask free. I'm telling you, everybody has no mask on at all. And then I went over to my glasses place. Crown Optical. Believe it or not, they made me put a mask on at the door. But they put it on me and they took it off of me. So there you have it. And I found out why they put a mask on you. especially when you're buying glasses, because right there on the outtake on the counter, right where you're going to buy your glasses, pay for your glasses with your mask on, well, there is a bunch of bottles of what's it called? Oh, doggone it, what is it called? Not Perrier, Perrier, whatever. Anyway, it's a anti-fogging solution for your glasses. You just rub it right on your glasses to keep them from fogging up. And if you got your glasses on and your mask on, guess what? Every time you breathe, steam, fog, and so I'm saying it's not necessarily a health issue, it's a sales tactic. Anyway, today's story today is going by TV Grandpa. That's right, it's TV Grandpa story time. Come on, come on. All y'all climb up on the couch there and let TV Grandpa give you a story. All right, there's Leroy and Oliver. Hey, there's Oliver and Willow. Hey, how y'all doing? All right, you guys ready? You guys ready for the story? Well, all right. Oh, hey, Zoe. Hey, what are you doing? All right. Here we go. Ready? We're going to do the Ugly Duckling. It was a lovely summer day in the country, and the golden corn, and the green oats, and the haystacks piled up in the meadows looked beautiful. The stork, walking along about on his long red legs, chattered in the Egyptian language which he had learnt from his mother, while the cornfields and the meadows were surrounded by long, large forests, in the midst of which were deep pools, and it was indeed delightful to walk about in the country. In a sunny spot and stood a pleasant old farmhouse close by a deep river, and from the house down to the water's side were great burdock leaves, so high that under the tallest of them a little child could stand upright. Well, the spot was as wild as the century of a thick woods, and in this snug retreat sat a duck on her nest, watching for her young brood to hatch. She was beginning to get tired of her task, for the little ones were a long time coming out of their shells, and she seldom had any visitors, and the other ducks liked much better to swim about in the river than to climb the slippery banks and sit under a broadbook leaf to have a gossip with her. And at length one shell cracked, and then another, and from each egg came a living creature that lifted its head and cried, "Peep, peep, quack, quack." "Well," said the mother, and then they all quacked as well as they could, and looked about them on every side at the large green leaves. Their mother allowed them to look as much as they liked, because green is good for the eyes. "How large the world is," said the young ducks, and when they found out how much more room they had when they were inside the eggshell. "Now, do you imagine this is the whole world?" asked the mother. "Wait till you have seen the garden. It stretches out far beyond that of the Parson's Field, but I have never ventured to such a distance. And are you all out?" She counted, raising numbers one. "I declare." "Nope, I declare. The largest egg lies there still. I wonder how long this is to last. I am quite tired of it." And she seated herself again on the nest. "Well, how long are you going to get on?" asked the old duck, who paid her a visit. "One egg is not yet hatched," said the duck. It will not break. But just look at all the others. Are they not the prettiest little ducklings you have ever saw? They are the image of their father, who is so unkind he never comes to see. Well, let me see the egg that will not break, said the duck. I have no doubt it is a turkey's egg. I was persuaded to hatch some once, and after all my care and trouble, when the young ones, they were afraid of the water. I quacked and clucked, but all to no purpose. I could not get them to venture in. And let me look at that egg. And yes, it's a turkey's egg. Let me advise, leave it where it is, and teach the other children to swim. Why, I think I will sit on it a little longer, said the duck. I have sat so long already, and a few days more will be nothing. So please yourself, said the old duck, and she went away. At last the large egg broke, and a young one crept forth, crying, "Peep, peep!" It was very large and ugly, and the duck stared at it and exclaimed, "It is very large and not at all like the others. I wonder if it's really a turkey." We shall soon find out, however, when we go to the water. It must go in, and if I have to push it myself. Well, on the next day the weather was delightful, and the sun shone brightly on the green burdock leaves. And so the mother duck took her young brood down to the river and jumped in with a splash. "Quack, quack, quack," she cried, and one after another the little ducklings jumped in. The water closed over their heads, but they came right up again in an instant, and swam about quite prettily, with their legs paddling under them as easily as possible. And the ugly duckling also in the water swam, swimming with them. "Oh," said the mother, "that is not a turkey. How well he uses his legs, and how upright he holds himself, as if he was my own child. And he is not so very ugly after all, if you look at him properly." "Quack, quack," came with me now. "Quack, quack, come with me now. I will take you into a grand society and introduce you to the farmyard. But you must keep close to me, or you may be trodden upon, and above all, beware of the cat." Well, when they reached the farmyard, there was a great disturbance. Two families were fighting for an eel's head, which, after all, was carried off by the cat. Well, see, children, that is the way of the world. See the mother duck wetting her beak, for she would have liked the eel's head herself. Come now, use your legs, and let us see how well you can behave. You must bow your heads prettily to the old duck yonder. She is the highest born of them all, and has Spanish blood. Therefore, she is well off. Don't you see she has a red flag tied to her leg, which is something very grand, and a great honor for a duck. It shows that everyone who is anxious not to lose her, and she can be recognized both by man and beast. Come now, don't turn your toes. A well-bred duckling spreads his feet wide apart, and just like his father and mother. And this way. Now, bend your neck and say quack. So the ducklings did as they were bid. But the other ducks stared and said, "Look, here comes another brood," as if there were not enough of us already. And what a queer-looking object one of them is. We don't even want him here. And then one flew out and bit him in the neck. "Let him alone," said the mother duck. "He is not doing any harm." "Yes, but he is big and ugly," said the spiteful duck, "and therefore he must be turned out." "Well, the others are very pretty children," said the old duck, with the rag on her leg. "All but that one. I wish his mother could improve him a little bit." "This is impossible, your grace," replied the mother. "He is not pretty, but he has a very good disposition and swims as well or even better than the others, and I think he will grow up pretty and perhaps be smaller, and he has remained too long in the egg, and therefore his figure is not properly formed." And then she stroked his little neck and smoothed his feathers, saying, "It's a drake, and therefore not out of so much consequence. I think he will grow up strong and be able to take care of himself." "The other ducklings are graceful enough," said the old duck, "and now make yourself at home, and if you can find an eel's head, you can bring it to me." And so they made themselves comfortable. But the poor duckling, who had crept out of his shell last of all, and looked so ugly, was bitten and pushed and made fun of, and not only by the ducks, but by all the poultry. "He is too big," they all said, and the turkey cock, who had been born into the world with spurs and fancied himself really an emperor, puffed himself out like a vessel of full sail, and flew at the duckling, and became quite red, and the head was passion. So the poor little thing did not know where to go, and was quite miserable because he was so ugly, and laughed at by the whole farmyard. And so it went on from day to day, till it got worse and worse, and the poor duckling was driven about by every one. Even his brothers and sisters were unkind to him, and would say, "Ah, you ugly creature, I wish the cat would get you." And his mother said she wished he had never been born. And the ducks pecked at him, and the chicken beat him, and the girls who fed the poultry kicked him and with her feet. And so at last he ran away, fighting the little birds in the hedges as he flew over the padlings. "Well, they are afraid of me because I'm ugly," he said, and so he closed his eyes and flew still further until he came out on a large moor inhabited by wild ducks. Here he remained the whole night, feeling very tired and sorrowful. In the morning, when the wild ducks rose in the air, he stared at the new comrades. "And what sort of a duck are you?" they all said, coming around him. Well, he bowed to them and was as polite as he could be, but he did not fly to their question. "You are exceedingly ugly," said the wild ducks, "but that will not matter if you do not want to marry one of our family." Well, poor thing, he had no thoughts of marriage at all, and all he wanted was permission to lie among the rushes, and drank some of the water on the moor. And after he had been on the moor 2 days, there came 2 wild geese, or rather goslings, for they had not been out of the egg long, and were very saucy. And listen, friend, said one of them to the duckling, you are so ugly that we like you very well. Will you go with us and become a bird of passage? Not far from here is another moor, in which there are some pretty wild geese, all unmarried. It is of chance for you to get a wife. You may be lucky, ugly as you are. Pop, pop, sounded the air, and the 2 wild geese fell dead among the rushes, and the water was tinged with blood. Pop, pop, echoed far and wide in the distance, and whole flocks of geese rose up from the rushes, and the sound continued from every direction, for the sportsmen surrounded the moor, and some were even seated on branches of trees and overlooking the rushes, and the blue smoke from the guns rose like clouds over the dark trees, and as it floated away across the water, a number of sporting dogs bounded in among the rushes, which bent beneath them whatever way they went. And how they terrified the poor ducklings, and he turned away his head to hide it under his wing. And at the same moment a large, terrible dog passed quite near him. His jaws were open, his tongue hung before his mouth, and his eyes glared fearfully. He thrust his nose close to the duckling, showing his sharp teeth, and then, splash, splash, he went into the water without touching him. Oh, sighed the duckling, how thankful I am for being so ugly. And then, splash, splash, even a dog will not bite me. And so he lay quiet still, and while the shooting rattled through the rushes, and guns after gun was fired over him, it was late in the day before he became quite quiet. And so he, even then, the poor young thing did not dare to move. He was quite quietly for several hours, and then, after looking carefully around him, hastened away from the moor as fast as he could, and he ran over the fields and meadows till a storm arose, and he could hardly struggle against it. Well, towards evening he reached a poor little cottage, and that seemed ready to fall, and only remained standing because it could not decide on which side to fall first. The storm continued so violently that the duckling could not go further, and he sat down by the cottage. And then he noticed that the door was not quite closed, and in consequence of one of the hinges having been missing. And there was therefore a narrow opening near the bottom, large enough for him to slip through, which he did very quietly, and he got a shelter for the night. A woman, a tomcat, and a hen lived in this cottage. Well, the tomcat, whom the mistress called my little son, was a great favorite, and he could raise his back and purr, and could even throw out sparks from his fur, if he were stroked the wrong way. And then the hen had very short legs, so she was called Chicky Short Legs, and she laid good eggs, and her mistress loved her as if she had been her own child. In the morning the strange visitor was discovered, and the tomcat began to purr, and then the hen to cluck. "What is that noise about?" said the old woman, looking now around the room. But her sight was not very good, and therefore, when she saw the duckling, she thought it must be a fat duck, and that had strayed from her home. "Well, oh, what a prize!" she exclaimed. "I hope it is a drake, for then I shall have some duck eggs. I must wait and see." And so the duckling was allowed to remain on trial for 3 weeks. But there were no eggs. And now the tomcat was the master of the house, and the hen was mistress, and then always said, we and the world, for they believed themselves to be half of the world, and the better half too. Well, the duckling thought that others might hold a different opinion on the subject, but the hen would not listen to such doubts. "Can you lay eggs?" she asked. "Nope." "Then have the goodness to hold your tongue." "Can you raise your back and purr or throw out sparks?" said the tomcat. "No." "Then you have no right to express an opinion. Sensible people are speaking." So the duckling sat in the corner, feeling very low spirited, until the sunshine and the fresh air came into the room through the open door, and then he began to feel such a great longing for a swim on the water that he could not help telling the hen. "Well, what an absurd idea," said the hen. "You have nothing else to do, and therefore you have foolish fantasies. Now, if you could purr or lay eggs, they would pass away. But it is so delightful to swim around the water," said the duckling, "and so refreshing to feel it closed over your head while you dive down to the bottom." "Delightful indeed," said the hen. "Why, you must be crazy," asked the cat. "He is the cleverest animal I know, and ask him how he would like to swim about on the water, or to dive underneath it, for I will not speak of my own opinion. So ask our mistress, the old woman. There is no one in the world more clever than she. So, do you think she would like to swim, or let the water close over her head?" "You do not understand me," said the duckling. "Why we don't understand you? Who can understand you, I wonder? Do you consider yourself more clever than the cat or the old woman? I will say nothing of myself, and do not imagine such nonsense, child, and thank your good fortune that you have been received here. Are you not a woman, or in a warm room, and in society from which you may learn something, but you are a chatterer, and your company is not agreeable, believe me. I speak only for your own good, and I may tell you unpleasant truths, but that is a proof of my friendship. I advise you, therefore, to lay eggs and learn to purr as quickly as possible." "Well, I believe I must go into the world again," said the duckling. "And yes, do," said the hen, and so the duckling left the cottage. It would be very sad were I related to all the miseries and versions which the poor little duckling endured during the hard winters. But when it had passed, he found himself lying on one morning in a mirror amongst the rushes, and he felt the warm sunshine shining, and heard the lark singing, and saw that all around was beautiful spring. And then the young bird felt that his wings were strong, as he flapped them against his sides and rose high into the air. They bore him onwards until he found himself in a large garden, and before he knew it, how it had happened, the apple tree were in full blossom, and the fragrant elders bent their long green branches down to the stream which wound around a small lawn. Everything looked beautiful in the freshness of early spring. From the thicket closed by came 3 beautiful white swans, rustling their feathers and swimming lightly over the smooth water. The duckling remembered the lovely birds and felt more strangely unhappy than ever. "Well, I will fly up to those royal birds," he exclaimed, "and they will kill me, because I am so ugly, and dare to approach them. But it does not matter. Better to be killed by them than pecked by the ducks, beaten by the hens, pushed about by the maidens who feeds the poultry, or starved by the hunger in the winter." And then he flew to the water, and he swam towards the beautiful swans. And the moment they espied the stranger, they rushed to meet him, and with outstretched wings. "Kill me," said the poor bird, and he bent his head down to the surface of the water and awaited death. But what did he see in the clear stream below? His own image, and no longer a dark gray bird, ugly and disagreeable to look at, but a graceful and beautiful swan. Well, to be born in a duck's nest in a farmyard is, of course, no consequence of a bird if it hatches from a swan's egg. He now felt glad to have suffered sorrow and trouble, because inevitably him to enjoy so much better all the pleasures and happiness around him. For the great swans swam around the new corner and stroked his neck with their beaks as a welcome. Into the garden presently came some little children and threw bread and cake into the water. "And see," cried the youngest, "there is a new one." And the rest were delighted, and ran to their fathers and mothers, dancing and clapping their hands, and shouting joyously, "There is another swan come! A new one has arrived!" Then they threw more bread and cakes into the waters, and said, "The new one is the most beautiful of all. He is so young and pretty." And the old swans bowed their heads before him. Then he felt quite ashamed, and hid his head under his wing, for he did not know what to do. He was so happy, and yet not at all proud. He had been persecuted and despised for his ugliness, and now he heard them say he was the most beautiful of all the birds. Even the elder tree bent down its boughs into the water before him, and the sun shone warm and bright. And then he rustled his feathers, curved his slender neck, and cried joyfully, from the depths of his heart, "I never dreamed of such happiness as this while I was an ugly duckling." Okay, hey, that was it. That was the ugly duckling. Boy, I gotta remember not to find such long stories on nights I ain't got no time. Anyway, hey, that brings us to the Daily Bread portion of the program, which is going to be brought to you today by the Bible with Briscoe 2021. The Bible with Briscoe 2021 is a daily reading of the Bible to be completed within 1 year. Today's reading in the Bible with Briscoe 2021 will be Nehemiah 10 through 11 and Acts 4, 1 through 22. Don't forget to tune into the Bible with Briscoe 2021 for your daily reading of the Bible. Okay, today's devotion in the Daily Bread portion of the program is going to be the life of peace. And today's scriptures that go inside with the insights and the life of peace will be Galatians 5:16 through 25. And so, without further ado, I shall read that for you. So I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. For the flesh desires what is contrary to the Spirit, and the Spirit what is contrary to the flesh. They are in conflict with each other, and so that you are not to do whatever you want. But if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. The acts of the flesh are obvious: sexual immorality, impurity, and debauchery, idolatry and witchcraft, hatred and discord, jealousy, fits of rage, selfish ambition, dissension, fascism, and envy, drunkenness, orgies, and the likes. I warn you, as I did before, that those who live like this will not inherit the kingdom of God. But the fruits of the Spirit is love, joy, and peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. And those who belong to Christ Jesus have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires. And since we live by the Spirit, let us keep it in step with the Spirit. Hey, that was Galatians 5:16 through 25, which was a very good description of the way you ought to live your life and the way not to. Anyway, hey, that was Life of Peace. And that was today's Daily Bread portion of the program, which was brought to you by the Bible with Briscoe 2021, a daily reading of the Bible to be completed within 1 year. Don't forget to tune into the Bible with Briscoe 2021 for your daily reading of the Bible. Alrighty, my friends. Hey, that was the Shen Show. This is your last song of the Shen Show, which goes like this. Oh, well, goodbye, my friends. It's time to go. I said goodbye, my friends. It's time to go. I hate to leave you, but I really must go. So goodbye, my friends. Goodbye. This here has been Shen Briscoe saying hello and how are you? Thanks for tuning into the Shen Show, and as always, you know, God loves you, and so do I. So come back and see me tomorrow because, well, hey, I'll be here, and I hope that you are too.